Now, do you have to schedule this or you just run?
No, there we go. All right.
There you go. All right.
All right, give me a second here.
Let's update it a little bit.
And talk about the AMA.
AMA and the model aircraft ban in DC area.
Time flies.
Yeah. Oh, it is that time, isn't it?
All right.
It is that time.
Let me post out. Stream options. No one's logging in. Guys, just getting stuff set up. Let's see here.
Now, just going through your phone again?
No. This is going just.
So we're not gonna have the same problem as last time. Speaking of which, if mine can go off, it will.
Yeah.
It's been incredibly silent today. I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse.
I know. It'll go off any moment.
Well, I was up till 2 a.m. with TBS, with two guys from TBS last night. Plus, I had I was online with some people from South Africa that wanted some help, and then I'm trying to troubleshoot with some other guys online. It was just, it's like it's 2 a.m. I need to get to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard being in this hobby, and guys do ask questions. You're like, well, I can help you. Okay.
Well, it's on top of that. It's a worldwide thing. So the forums and everything go all over the world. So it's not, sure, most of the bulk of what goes on happens between 3 o'clock and 11 o'clock during the day, but the international stuff happens mostly at night. Yeah. So you've got a huge issue. So,
all right,
and it's just not easy to try to do all that.
All right. We got one guy watching, which is fine.
Yeah, it was only been online
impromptu.
2 minutes. Yeah, it's impromptu type deal.
All right.
Move the heck out of your way.
Yeah, you're fine.
All right.
Just making sure this is working. All right, guys, feel free, those who are posting in, this is just kind of an impromptu. We talked the other day and just said we want to do a quick
I want to do an
on
update. Because the AMA and their current position is a little bit different than I expected, but actually I'm going to support them on it.
So we have the ruling that comes down, drone registration, which is really pilot registration.
Yeah, it's here's a registration, sign away your rights, and we might go away. So.
Right. So we know that they're asking us not only to register and sign up. Big Brother wants the information, which, again, can be half and half on both sides.
There's nothing wrong with registration.
Yeah.
Straight out registration is not a problem. It's a contract that goes with it.
It's the
contract. The premise by which it was passed. It was questionable means, and even if it's questionable means, let's face it, $5 for a registration. The problem is that it expires, and the chances that there's a chance it could go up. But it really bothered me was the contract. And the Academy of Model Aeronautics had quite a few gripes about it. Not just the contract, but they had quite a few.
Well, and their verbiage is not friendly towards FPV.
No, well, remember that the registration came out saying it was a unanimous vote. Remember that?
Right.
That's obviously not the case, because the AMA didn't like any of it. Right. I mean, it was supposed to be free. It wasn't free. Yeah. I mean, I went back and looked at the thread I put up on FPV Lab, what you need to know. And I read because I typed that as I was in the conference call, and from the responses to my questions, oh yes, it's going to be free. It's not intrusive. It's just sign up and that's it. And we just need your name and address and email, and that was it. And that was supposed to be all it was. And then
had that been the case, I think everybody just unanimously just been jumping on board.
Not unanimously, but most of us would have been like, this isn't much. Because the whole purpose was to get information to the hobbyist, right. Which was, as was expressed, if they pass laws, I mean, that's a good thing, Instead of us going and looking, hey guys, we've got this law out there, we need your comment, or this just passed through legislature or whatever. Kind of like the thing about the drone ban in D.C.
Right.
But
right. So that rolls out right about Christmas time.
Yeah.
Santa brought the D.C. area a wonderful gift by shutting down. They were saying, I think, 30
miles.
30 mile
miles,
radius.
14 fields.
Right, 14 fields based on, I think, AMA, but
Just
I think
the
they were
AMA,
calling
yes.
for 30-some fields, I thought. Something bigger than that, and the AMA was saying, well, look, I think we only have 14 fields in your jurisdiction area.
Right, and when you think about it, to have that many fields shut down in one location, why do you need to be 30 miles away from that airport? What is the big thing? See, there was a summit where a bunch of the, I can't remember if they were NATO guys or whoever, but a lot of very high-ranking politicians from all over the world came to Pittsburgh. And while I was living in Pittsburgh, it's kind of interesting, and they evacuated the city. I mean, the entire city of Pittsburgh, they evacuated it. You weren't, even if you lived in the city, you had to find another place to go. No-fly zone, 15 miles.
So they need 30 for RC models. One guy posted, I don't remember, this was past week, posted that they were maybe doing some kind of a radar update or something.
That we don't know.
So I don't
Nobody really knows. That's a good guess.
We're going down the rabbit trail. And
right. Let's not.
Aliens
let's talk about,
were landing that week.
Let's talk about what we know.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as the drone ban goes, let's talk about what we know. First of all, we know it's 30 miles. Anything within the 30 miles of the DC airport, you can only fly indoors. Outdoors is completely shut down. Indoors only within 30 miles of the airport. Okay? Now, that is really the limit of it. However, here's the surprising thing. There's no text on this. There isn't. In fact, everybody heard about it on either Saturday or Sunday. Sunday seems to be in the news.
Were they contacting the AMA? Because
correct.
I saw the AMA post about this.
Yes, that's correct. There's nothing in writing. It's more of a... in other words, this ban is not actually legally binding yet because it's a verbal... It's verbal from somebody at the FAA to somebody at the AMA. Okay, this is very informal.
Down.
There's, in other words, well, I mean, come on, it's what is it, Tuesday now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would think the paperwork would follow pretty quickly, but there isn't any, and they're saying that they're going to lift it mid-January. Okay. Which, let's face it, the weather sucks right now. I'm not going to go fly in the rain, but yeah. I mean, the premise behind it pisses me off because it's like, guys. Issue a freaking NOTAM. You're the FAA. This is what you do. Don't just call somebody up at the AMA and say, "Hey, this is your problem. Deal with it. No flying." Click. That's not how you. That's not how you do things. I mean, per their rules.
Well,
this isn't even mine. This isn't the U.S. Is their rules.
They are staying consistent by throwing stuff out at the last minute.
It is.
I will say the community is really good because that information traveled very fast.
Right.
Not in the D.C. area, but man, that stuff went out. They're shutting all this stuff down.
Yeah,
is that a problem? No, they can say, "Hey, can we shut stuff down?" Or can they do that? It's just odd having it happen after everything.
Well, the thing is, the problem is they're stretching the bounds of tyranny, and then they're doing this, and they're saying, It sounds partially to me like, let's see how much we can get away with breaking our own rules.
Yeah.
And if we get called out on it. Now, what might happen is if the paperwork comes through and they actually issue the NOTAM, then, hey, maybe somebody was falling asleep on the job. It's Christmas holiday. They had a bunch of people off, whatever.
Right.
We're human. We understand. The FAA is still human.
Aero FPV was saying if there's an ultralight airport, is there an ultralight airport within the 30-mile DC ban, or can an ultralight fly through that zone?
Ultralight can. It's only as far as we know, this only applies to models. Mm-hmm. As far as we know, it's models only.
Yeah.
That's because it was expressed to the AMA. We don't know. That's all I see in the news. So it appears to be just models. Remember that ultralights fall under manned aviation more than they do drone aircraft. Mm-hmm. As far as the FAA is concerned and rules about airspace. And it's been pretty well established, actually.
Let me read 3 comments and then we can respond to these. One, Highway says he's got the closest FPV racing, field somewhere out of the circle quad state FPV. So if that is true, Highway, go ahead and post a link down below for this video. Let guys know, especially if they're outside of that area. Yeah. Guys, come travel, visit.
Yeah, if you want to travel, I tell everybody, come down and fly with me. Get me out from behind my stinking desk. I'd love to. I really.
We're not that far. We're not that far. Make a road trip, come down and fly with us.
Right, why not? You got some pretty cool areas.
Do we think? Let's see here. Do you think having a spotter is enough when flying FPV, or do you think FPV is against the rules all around?
FPV is against the rules according to the FAA, but remember, this is an interpretation. The law states this way. This is Section 336. Flown within visual line of sight. That's a boundary, not a method. Now, the FAA has said this is a method, although the law, within is not a method. You know, when I drive my car, I drive from within the vehicle. Okay,
right. The terminology is definitely kind of sketchy.
And the FAA has done a very good job of working its way around sometimes, and anything that could be misinterpreted, that they definitely tend to twist it. There was a really good article where they interpreted, where the FAA started interpreting certain words differently,
right,
at certain points, and then this lawyer went and said, if it's interpreted this way for some, as they're implying as all, right. Let's change this story to change all the words some to all.
Is
they totally changed.
Yeah, there's a lot to be looked at, and their interpretation has been the
and it really comes down. What's strange about this is this shouldn't be so confusing, because here in the United States, laws are written to the letter, not to the meaning, which means whoever wrote them had better do a damn good job of illustrating the meaning through the letter, whereas many other countries is the meaning. And sure, you might be able to get away with it, but this is the letter of the law, okay? This is the letter in this country. So I can't say, if I say some, it's some, not all. If I say within, that does not mean by way of, period, okay? Well, if I want by way of, I could write via, that's fine, but not within.
I think as within most government, and from a politician's side, there's not clear speak. No. I think we'd be okay if there was clear speak, give a true direction, but
they're politicians, dude.
That's half of what this is that information is, you see one thing on the surface, as soon as you scratch that off, you get into the registration process, then you learn, oh, wait a second, I'm now signing a binding agreement. Yeah. Now, you know.
Yeah, well, this is typical of politics, which the model aviation community has largely not been part of. I mean, we've stayed out of politics. We've been pretty good at it. And why should we? We've got a safety record that speaks for itself. You know, more people are killed by vending machines in a year than have been killed by models in a decade. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
All right, so it's, I mean, vending machines, for goodness sake. That's what we're comparing our safety record to.
Quad State FPV is on the meetup group, guys. Take a look for him. I guess you can search out. They have a 2016 season posted. And Highway, message me as well, because depending on where you guys are at, maybe we'll come up there and join you guys. Do some quad racing too. Be nice to do that. We're working on hopefully stuff for our show coming up for this year. I dropped both registering options in my plans and plan on becoming an AMA chapter. I'm not very impressed looking at independent insurance and other options. I'm waiting until last minute to register and hope that things will change for the better.
Can I ask, as far as registration goes, the FAA really, at this point, they have to do something, because they're really moving fast, and they're either gonna keep their momentum or they're gonna stall out, and this is gonna not work.
Right.
So I've announced this several places, but I'm going to be the lightning rod. And I'm going to do this willfully. And you remember the FPVTA, they elected me as the president, and and we didn't do anything because the FAA didn't do anything. Well, now they've done something. So, but we know that lawsuits don't work. We know that suing them doesn't work, or at least takes a long time. So what I want to do, what I'm going to do, is I'm going to be the lightning rod. Strike me down, because I can fight this in court directly. Okay, try. Because I know the foundation.
Someone's been watching Star Wars.
Well, no.
Strike me down.
Oh, actually, I haven't seen the movie. I haven't seen the movie. But the thing is the FAA is really good at going, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Okay. Well, guess what? You're going to hear me. Okay, because I'm going to.
Are they going to be able to go after 100,000 pilots?
Well, no. Don't. No, here's the thing.
Are they going to be able to?
I'm going to make it a point that I'm showing them that these rules, there's these ideas they have, don't promote safety. I'm going to make a laughing stock of them by showing them. I'm going to break as many rules as I can that nobody in the world would go, that's unsafe. You know, everybody's going to agree, like, this is really safe. And I'm breaking them. I mean, the Dalai Lama said it best. it's good to understand the rules so you know how to break them properly. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And the whole thing is because the FAA has come out and said, you can't do this, you can't do this, and we're passing legislation really fast. Well, I'm going to stand in your face and go, okay, well, if you really mean it, come get me.
That's part of what the AMA is asking everybody to do is, again, still hold off so that they can put some stuff through, see what channels they have, and then ultimately see what the recourse is on that.
Well, they've got a plan too.
Well, I posted, here's one other thing before, I posted on the Facebook page maybe a couple days ago. There's a link to leave a comment. You can leave a comment.
Please do. Please do.
I went ahead and copied what the AMA did. I made a couple changes, but updated however you want, but basically stating, look, in 80 some years, our hobby's been well regulated. The AMA has done a fantastic job as a whole of representing the hobby. Yeah. So if therefore I already have an AMA number, which would go on my aircraft, and if we already have that stuff in place, what more do I need at FAA?
Well, right. If we have our name and address and phone number in the vehicle, that satisfies everything the registration number would, except they don't have to go look it up. It's right there. And the AMA, that's been an AMA standard forever. And really, I really should just, like I said earlier, put it on the battery. It's really easy. It's always a battery.
If it's ultimately the safety aspect of it and their education is going out, then that shouldn't be.
Well, if you have your name and address in there, that's accountability right there, done. Yeah. You don't need a federal number. Yeah. Okay. But the AMA, they've got a couple of they've got a plan that's different than mine. Mine is my own personal plan because I'm fed up at this point. I mean, look, they're costing this country how much money by shipping all the jobs for UAVs overseas?
Right.
Okay, and this is going to hurt my business. It's going to hurt your business. Okay, this directly affects us. So I mean, it's time for somebody to stand up, and I'm willing to do it. I've been pretty vocal, and I'm pretty well recognized. And I'm look, if the FAA thinks they're right, they better be ready to prove it. Because one or two things are going to happen with the FAA. I'm going to stand up and say, "Hey guys, look over here. I'm making it a point to show the world that I'm breaking your rules and doing it safely. What are you going to do about it?" Right. And if they don't do anything, then obviously they're not intending to push the issue. It's one of those in which case it can't hold up. Wait. This is a guy out there turning himself in, and you're not going to do anything.
Well, in other words, if they're theoretically saying FPV needs to be outlawed,
right?
If that is what they're pushing for, then stand up and say that.
Right.
Don't hide it underneath. Well, because the reality is, it's not just us. There are so many companies.
They have stood up and said.
Right. So, but the difference between visual line of sight. I mean, here's the thing: I can fly a line of sight aircraft and have it disappear, but behind a tree 20, 30 feet away, we know that stuff can happen.
That's how I intend to break the rules.
It doesn't make it any safer to have a spotter there. That spotter.
Well, not a spotter. They've already said spotter can be used, but that does not satisfy the line of sight requirement.
Right.
They've actually been pretty direct on their interpretation.
There's a lot of silly stuff.
Right.
All right. Shelby Vole. Yeah. All right, apparently registered. He's getting flack from his group, which he rightfully should, and now he's going to get flack from us.
Yeah, he's Shelby. He deserves flack, right?
He did it on purpose, I know. All right, so great. So you go through the process, you do that. Is it bad? Is it not? I know you're going to fly FPV because that's you.
Yeah,
and
right.
If we register, we're going to continue to fly FPV.
My only caution is he signed a contract. I mean, now, granted, the FAA is more likely to come after me because I'm trying to be the lightning rod than him. But here's the thing: it puts the FAA has really been largely ignoring it. But what we're trying to do is set a precedent. If they come after me, it gives me a chance to knock them down in court. If they don't, that tells the world that, hey, they're toothless.
Yeah.
In other words, I don't see how this is not going to turn out really well. Ideally, now, by the way, I want them to come after me. I want to knock this down in court once and for all. Okay?
What would be nice is to feel like we truly have a voice as a community. We know the AMA is trying, and
but we need
everything on the outside, they're ultimately turning a deaf ear, and they're either listening to DJI, they're listening to the other companies.
They're playing the game of politics, all right? Yeah. The game of politics, the game of look, and they're all playing that game. We as a community can't, but what we can play is direct confrontation. we can directly call them out on it. All right, that is the avenue we have.
Yeah.
And the truth is it's if you're not going to do, if I went out on the highway right now and blew by 3 cops at 120 miles an hour and they didn't do a daggone thing, what makes you think that and did so waving to them or waving the middle finger at them?
Yeah.
Don't you think you'd get away with it too? And that's the exact thing is they can't do this. They have to stop the idiot driving 120 miles an hour waving them the finger. All right. The difference is the cop on the road actually has a law to stand behind.
Right.
The FAA doesn't, and that's where and this is what I intend to prove. This is why I want them to strike me, because I intend to prove that. Now, granted, it's going to cost me a lot of money, but I intend to do it anyway.
I'll bring you a file in jail.
Let's hope not.
No.
But back to the AMA's position. 'Cause that's my plan. All right, that's my plan. Is to call them out safely.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a representative for the wrong reason. I don't want to be somebody I'm not going to fly near an airport. Okay, that's stupid. I'm not going to fly around exposed people. That's stupid. I'm not going to fly over a baseball game. All right, that's not the kind of stuff I'm going to pull. All right, I'm going to fly like most hobbyists do. I'm going to fly off my deck I intend to fly below my feet.
Right.
Underneath me, I'll probably crash it because I'm not that good. That kind of stuff.
This is interesting. If, let's say, things go through, I don't know ultimately that, let's say, the AMA is going to require its members to register. We're either going to get to that point where we're all just going to have to do it, and you're either going to choose not to fly however you want, take your own risk, fly.
Well, they can't force the AMA's hand.
And no, they can't force the AMA's hand, but I wonder if it will get to that point. And that's kind of about if they say, well, can you fly at an AMA field, and do they also require you to have a registration?
Remember, pylon races are now illegal. Altitude competitions and thermal gliders are now illegal. I don't think the AMA is going to stay there and go, yeah, you're going to have to register to join the AMA. That's not how it's going to work. I doubt it. But the AMA's position, however, on these issues is abide by the DC drone ban, even though there isn't anything official. And I would encourage you to do that. Now, mind you, they said mid-January. Okay, mid-January expires, I would assume, on the 20th. Okay, if we break it up into equal chunks, that's the 20th. If we don't hear anything by then, go fly in protest, because they said it ends mid-January and it's a verbal thing. You can go fly in protest. They can't extend this. Now, if they put something in place and they say, hey, we're going to extend it for whatever, no problem. Let's face it.
Reach out to the local AMA chapter and whoever the president is, and reach out. I mean, AMA is very quick to get back, so I don't think that's an issue.
No, they're really good about it. But like I said, right now, let's assume there's a good reason for it. We don't know what it is, and the AMA says, hey, abide by it. Let's abide by it. If we don't hear anything by mid-January, then hey, that's when they said it expires. We're done. And we can go fly, possibly in protest or just because we want to. It's your call.
Guys, hit the link on the Facebook page. Please post a comment up. And at least, if nothing else, we've got 80 years of a hobby that has a really clean track record for safety.
98 years.
Okay, 98 years.
99 tomorrow.
Clean track record. There's no reason why. We understand changes. We understand technology and stuff that way. But it just would be nice to know that hopefully my kids will be able to have an opportunity to fly. It's really going to stink if things change.
It really is, and really, it comes down to lazy law. If you're going to coin a term for this, I would call it lazy law, which is we pass laws as kind of a catch-all. And I've always wondered why we do this. And we do it a lot. I mean, we have 202 pages of this registration. It needs 3. Yeah. All right? Yeah. For what they really had in there, the bulk of it needs 3 at most. And then that means we've got 199 pages of BS. Well, why not make it 5 pages where 3 pages are, exemptions or methods or, about this registration, where it's actually educational material, where it's like, hey, it's a registration. Register. Hey, we recommend that you fly like this. You understand airspace. Click here to get more information. Not part of the contract, but please educate yourself of this.
Right, and that's what it should have been.
Right. It should have been an educational tool, not political
garbage.
They
didn't actually, from what I saw, and I haven't gone through the registration process, But it didn't seem to me that they were like, hey, check this other website out, which gives you all the instructions you need. Here's how to fly safely. Here's an instruction video. I mean, for Pete's sake, why couldn't they invest in even a basic instruction video, other than the little one they put out like last year for Christmas or something? But really,
the Know Before You Fly was pretty good. That was pretty good.
That's fine. Then repost that. But at the same time, at this point, they've had another year. They could have made another video, gotten with a group, or even teamed up with AMA.
Well, put it on the AMA's desk. I mean, they do a great job. Just say, hey, can you help us with this? The AMA would be glad to help. A lot of us hobbyists would be glad to help. You know, if the FAA calls me up and goes, hey, Alex, I need you to help us make a video based on this, and this. You know, I mean, about knowing before you fly and air safety. And it's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
I don't know if you heard about this. Chicago banned all drones and drone racing. I have no idea about that. I had not heard that. I know up in New York, we talked about this last time, that New York was looking at, I think it was Albany, at basically shutting stuff down.
Well, there's an interesting conflict there that works in our favor. The FAA is saying they're the only ones who have the authority to do that. Now, while I like the fact that the FAA is now challenging the state level, on the other side, I really do think it's up to the city to say, no, we don't want this here or not. I mean, if Chicago has a ban, just get outside of Chicago to fly. And you actually have a lot. You actually have a lot of political power locally. You can actually do a lot locally, where federally you really have very little. So, I mean, I don't like it. Yeah. But I believe the FAA is overstepping their bounds there too, even though it does kind of work to our favor. I mean, let's face it. It's not like anti-regulation everything. No, there are drawn boundaries, and the FAA is really overstepped them.
I was traveling over the holiday for Christmas, and I thought on my drive I will pay attention specifically to the air. See if I see anything that looks like a drone on my drive between here and Charlottesville visiting some family. It's an hour and a half drive, and then even in the Charlottesville area, I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking, well, if there's so many of them at this point, where are they? Of course, don't see anything. I didn't get hit by one.
Especially with the nice weather. I was out flying, but I was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I was out flying.
It's sad to think that hopefully those towns and cities would understand and have a chance to go and see what the technology is. And hopefully if there's an AMA field or things in those areas, people would be able to go.
But we have a chance to change that very easily. The community can influence a city very easily.
I mean, there is a group of us that fly here, but it's not like all of us are flying every single day all over the city. I mean, we fly designated times. We're usually out together. We're normally flying in bigger open areas. So unless you're that lone wolf that's flying, I mean, I just don't know how you could cause, like if our cities... we'd have to fight it. I mean, it's just crazy.
And we would. And here's the thing: anybody within a reasonable drive that wants to make a protest against a ban in their city, you got my contact information.
Yeah.
Tell me when, and I'll be there. I mean, that's it. I mean, I'll support you, and I fully do that because I like this hobby. I'm invested in it very heavily, and I want to give my support anywhere I can. I mean, I really do enjoy it. I remember somebody saying, do you ever get sick of it? And I went, no, not really. I'm really enjoying it.
You enjoy it when you go to a weekend fly-in. You've flown 3 or 4 days. You have a day off, and you call each other, going, "Hey, you want to fly?"
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, and back to the AMA. The AMA. I spoke with Bob Brown on the drive home from Pittsburgh just after Christmas about what we should do regarding this, and I thought I'll admit I thought it was cold, very cold, but I'm also going to pass on exactly what he said, even though I don't necessarily agree with it. He's got a reason. I don't understand what that reason is, but I'm going to go with he knows better than me. Yeah. He's had a lot more experience, and he says, look, if you find somebody flying in the D.C. area, turn them in. Even if they may not have heard, turn them in anyway. That's what he said. Now I'll elaborate on this. Normally I would say, hey, you can't do that. You could be in a lot of trouble. All right, that's what I would do, but that's not the advice that's given. And I believe the reason is that there are several people who've been turned into the FAA and they've done nothing. So maybe this is a way to effectively do nullify by example, like, hey, we're responding, and that might be it. I don't know. That's speculation. That's my guess.
Well, it's like I recommended contacting your local airport tower where you fly, just to reach out in a nice way and say, hey, here's where I typically fly. Do you need us to notify you for any reason? We fly remote control aircraft. We just want to be as safe as possible. If we are erring on the side of safety and caution ahead of what they want, it's only going to help.
Yeah, don't give them a leg to stand on. That's what we're doing. We're trying to continue to operate without giving them a leg to stand on. And there might be some small sacrifices. I mean, hey, if the air traffic control tower says, yeah, call in every time before you go fly, sure. You know, on the way to the air, when I open the trunk of my car to pull out my aircraft, I just dial the number and we're gonna fly for probably about 2 hours. Here's our location, same time, same place. Yep, thanks, bye, click, done. You know, that's fine. But here's another thing about the AMA that they've been talking about, because I talked to Bob Brown. What is the AMA's plan? And they've got a really good plan, actually. They want us to write letters, emails, letters, and they want us to submit them all at once. They're going to put a form letter out. I'll be sure to make a form letter for those people who are not so not well at putting words together, as I just proved I'm not.
Well, that's why the petition thing. Yeah.
Well, this isn't a petition. This is more of writing your congressman all over the country, so they're flooded with hobbyist and modeler emails and mails and all at once. So they have to address it all at once. And the reason you want to do this is on their mind when as this is all happening. Remember, Congress makes the laws, not the FAA. Well, even though the FAA is finding their ways around it.
I guarantee these people do not want to hear from 10, 20, 30, 40,000 people.
But they're going to.
I posted the number out, and I actually myself forgot to call, so I'll have to look at my own page and post it out. If somebody else has got the number that was posted out like last week, feel free to post it back up, because I actually wanted to call in and just leave a nice message and say, look, I've been in the hobby a long time. I find these rules and regulations to be just heavy-handed.
Yeah.
To say it best, and say, things have progressed. We understand the technology's changing, but let's work with the people who know this hobby better than.
Well, yeah, the problem is the FAA aren't experts, and it's obvious. I mean, they were talking about they 2 years ago they thought every drone was a 100-pound beast or a 100-pound monster or a.
Well, it's like saying every aircraft is a 747.
Right, exactly. That's the thing is they're really naive, and they're naive by choice, not by force. It's by choice, but. You can't educate somebody who wants to remain stupid.
This is great. Alan Tweed. I went to my local airport and asked. They said, no, don't call us. Just use common sense. FAA, that's what we want to hear. Use common sense, educate. That's really
let's face it. Common sense, you can't write that in the law. Common sense isn't that common. No. But what you can do is write what common sense is in somewhere in those 202 pages.
And then when you break it, you deal with those individuals.
Right. Yeah, you say, if somebody doesn't yield to air traffic. Okay, that's obvious common sense. You yield to air traffic immediately.
Well, I've invited a number of cops into the shop before when I've been at events, and if somebody commented about that, absolutely reach out to anyone and everyone. It just takes what somebody's mindset is. You've got literally AKAs mounted under every drone that you fly. That is not the case. No. People think we only fly multi-rotors. That's the only drones out there, that there's no aircraft or scale or whatever else. Yeah. So education is a big part.
I think we all need to be vocal about it to some degree within our local communities, because the media, they'll catch on to it. I mean, that's what painted the drone as what it is today. But we have the power to shift that as a group. We really do. But we have to be motivated to do it. And sure, I'm gonna be the front. I'm gonna make it a point to be the front runner. But if somebody wants to run in front of me, go for it, man. I don't necessarily want to carry this torch. I just feel I have to.
Part of what you're saying about doing is just drawing attention to. What is the seriousness? What are they trying to do? Is it truly education? Is it truly safety?
Well, we don't know.
Or
that's the scary part.
Is it ultimately is it a game? And that's what it feels like. We're all part of a game, and it's a cat and mouse. And
we
don't know where it's going to end up.
Here's the other side of it. You know, it to me, it sounds like graft. It really does. I mean, why else would you be shipping jobs overseas out, and you know you're doing it? There's no way they don't know they're doing it. Why would you be trying to crush a hobby directly? I mean, obviously, that's been going on for ages by imposing a speed limit, eliminating pylon races, an altitude limit meaning no thermaling, and saying FPV is illegal. I mean, there's a motive under here, and I wonder if it's financially motivated. I mean, that's, let's face it. I mean, corruption's legal in America. It is. It always has been. You can pay a politician. It's called a lottery. Okay, you can legally do that. Okay, that's it's.
Maybe we need the FPV lobby.
But that's the thing is we don't have enough money for a lobby. We really don't, because look, and this is my gamble. My thought is the FPV community won't put into a lawsuit because they've seen it go nowhere, or probably won't put enough money into a lobby to make one work.
Yeah.
But if I go take them on, if I take them on head on and make it a flagship case, you know, make it the trademark, like this is going to set it. That's assuming they come after me, which is my goal. That they will, hopefully people will take the $5 they said that was slated for registration and put it into a fund if I need it. You know, and I'll put it out there as a, you know, I'll put it out there. I'll put it out there now that I might need that help. I'm not rich, honestly, guys.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that, because we all know whatever extra money we have, it usually goes towards planes if it's not.
Well, hey, that's a cost of a servo. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, it's very hard for people to do that. But when you have the opportunity, you know, will make a difference. It's much easier to do as opposed to a guess.
Yeah.
It's much easier to do, and so. The problem is somebody's got to put their neck out there, and if you guys if anybody wants to join me, I'd be very glad to have a little assistance here. But I'm not asking you to, and I'm not even saying you should. In fact, I'm probably saying you shouldn't. But if you want to,
we'll have more updated. Yeah, I'm sure the video will post out. We'll definitely link to it.
But definitely follow, at the very least, follow the AMA's guidelines. And when they tell you to shoot off those letters, do it all at once. Don't do it ahead of time.
As much as you can, support what's going on. I know it's extra work, and nobody wants to type or write or sign one more thing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But it really is ridiculous. Even the amount of info, even us doing this and spending 37 minutes, and you guys joining us for this. Spread the word, keep it going, and ultimately, we want to be able to fly. We want to fly responsibly. We want to fly safe, and that's what we've been doing. We just want this hobby to continue. We want less legislation to have to deal with, less regulation across the board, and honestly, we just want everything to just kind of mellow out. Have a commercial side, have a hobbyist side, and let us
let it ride. Let it ride. I mean, let's hope that. I mean, legislation will never keep up with technology. It never has.
Yeah.
But you know, let's. The response to that is to figure out legislation and pass it, not ban, because ban isn't regulation. That's a ban, all right?
So for now, still hold off. Don't sign if you haven't signed up. Don't be a Shelby Vole. I'm giving you a hard time, buddy. Yeah. If you signed up, signed up. Yeah. We're just going to hold off. We're waiting on the AMA because we want to at least give them the support, and I want to give them my support on that. Yeah. And we'll wait, and if at the end of the month I need to sign up, we'll sign up. Yeah. And we'll see where things go. It's just, there's just a lot of sad stuff to it, and it stinks that hopefully going into 2016, maybe this will be the year that we don't have to hear about all this nonsense. Maybe some of it will go away, because in my opinion, last year we ended the year on the same note going into their interpretation, and now we're at the registration. Maybe next year, well, it'll be constipation. No.
I hope so.
It's ridiculous.
But either way, guys, bottom line is the AMA has a plan. I encourage you to follow it. If we all follow the plan, I think it'll be the best. Be prepared to write a letter. Keep it friendly. There'll be a form letter. Several people, I'm sure, will put those out there. Get ready to send those into your congressman and that kind of stuff. Don't send them in yet. Abide by the DC drone ban, even though there's nothing written. Like I said, if by the 20th of January There isn't anything. If you want to go fly and protest, actually, please do. But right now, the weather just kind of sucks, so I wouldn't sweat it too much.
Be respectful with flying. Share the hobby, and if you feel you need to register, that is going to be up to you. For us, we're just holding off right now, and again, we'll have another update as we hear more from the AMA and we go forward with that side.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to reach out either. Don't be afraid to reach out. I mean, I'm a pretty easy guy to reach. If you have a concern or something, the AMA is pretty easy to reach. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask what should you do.
We ultimately care about the hobby.
Yeah, right.
We extremely care about the hobby. It's not just business. It's not just selling airplanes. Yeah. If it was just that, we wouldn't be flying. We enjoy flying.
Oh gosh, do you realize how much money I was offered to sell my business? And
we enjoy
right.
flying. We enjoy doing FPV. It's a fun hobby. It's a fun sport, and I just want to see it continue. So
yeah, right. I do too.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for some of the comments and stuff. Pass the video along, and I'm sure we'll have another update, and we'll try to post it out a little bit earlier next time. Maybe have a few more of us. So as we're kind of testing out some of this live stuff. So
yeah,
guys, thanks.
Yeah.
And all joking aside, Shelby, shame on you. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks.